Welcome to a video podcast discussion of the television series Deadwood. This is for the 4th episode of season 1, Here Was a Man. I'm Ben.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Markus.
I'm Chad.
And we just finished watching the episode, and what did you guys think of this episode?
Well, this is my first episode ever of Deadwood. As I told you guys before, I had a long HBO-less period of my life because I wasn't trying to pay for that. Shout out to my wife for finally bringing HBO back into my life, by the way.
Can I just say real quick? To Wild Bill.
To Wild Bill. Yeah, were you guys shocked by that?
Yeah, because...
I did not expect that at all.
Because y'all were talking like he was a major character. I thought he was going to be around for a minute.
I saw him twitching at the end, and I was like, maybe he's going to be... No, he's dead.
Yeah, you seem to like Wild Bill.
I liked Wild Bill a lot.
I love too that you paused it right before he was killed to explain something about like his relationship with the bar owner. It was one of those things where I was like, and then it was like, okay, yeah, that was good.
And I was excited that happened this episode so that you would be more excited. Because I was like, Markus is not getting into this. Markus is not getting into this. But at least I was like, at least Wild Bill's going to be violently murdered, and you will be like, if you think it's a boring period piece, you'll be more excited about the Game of Thrones aspect of it.
Yeah, because when you kill people like that early on, it kind of lets you know that all bets are off. And it's like, wow, okay. And it is the Wild West where, you know, shooting and killing was very commonplace. You know, it was, like I said.
Just didn't expect Keith to die, man.
Yeah,
Keith Carradine.
This was a historically accurate killing.
it was.
And after I saw it happen, I was like, now I kind of remember hearing something about him getting shot in the back of the head.
Because somebody took his usual seat. He always sat with his back.
See, I was thinking about that too when he sat down. I was like,
And he paused for a
that's a
second.
weird character choice. He's sitting with his back to the door.
Yeah,
And then he
but
dies.
someone was
He
sitting
was
in the
always
seat.
big about that before, but
Right.
in this episode portrays it as if it's a kind of minor suicidal impulse. Like he's just like, I'm so tired. I'm just
Right.
so tired.
Exactly.
I'm just gonna sit with my back to the door, and then you see his eyes.
He even realizes it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The same guy who will shoot you from across the room if he thinks you mean him harm. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
He allowed himself to be approached by a stranger that he couldn't see.
Right.
And I love, I guess now I know it was foreshadowing. Like the long time they took of Wild Bill, you know, getting ready, tying his sash. And
Yep.
I just thought he was just being, I'm like, oh, okay, well, Bill's just a fly dude. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? You know, Bill just, you know, Wild Bill finna style him. I'm like, oh, I got the sash, you know.
And he was.
I mean, that was a cool
He
ass
was
sash.
very much a sort of showbiz version of his former self.
Yeah.
At the end.
With this completely like perfect hair
The
and all this
Buffalo
stuff.
Bill's Wild West show or something like that, was it? Or,
Yeah, they all ended up being performers and then scouts and performers and scouts. And,
Mhm.
did you guys like his interaction with Swearengen?
I love that scene so much.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I thought he was gonna be more confrontational with him, but then you kind of forget like that's Bullock's MO. He's the one who's gonna pull the gun and shoot somebody out of like possible just anger or something. And while Bill's so cool, he was just like, nah.
Bill just wants to go drink later.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
and then there was also that moment where it was like it could have been taken as nefarious or something, where he was like, well, I mean, obviously he's trying to
Well,
trick
he said-
trick
Butter him
Swearengen.
up.
He clarifies later that he's like, I left it in a manner that he would understand.
Yeah,
but-
exactly.
But there's just still, I mean, it's much more like the historical Wild Bill for him to be kind of vague, kind of, you know, like he wasn't necessarily an upstanding figure.
Right.
And
He had a
says,
warrant out on him.
yeah, he says, what light does it matter? How much is it worth to you? What light I show it in?
Yeah.
And
So great.
Yeah, I like, I mean, the amazing Ian McShane and him as Al Swearengen. Yeah, definitely. He felt like a Wild West kingpin to me because he just ran stuff and like, you know, instantly when I saw his hitter, as we say, I was like, oh, that's his bullseye. Okay. Yeah.
Stay indoors. Yeah.
Well, what about him makes you think of Kingpin, I guess?
He's vicious, he's cunning, and he runs everything. It feels like he has a hand in everything. Like I remember back in the golden days of comics, well, not really golden days, but like in the 80s, you know, when they would put a lot more exposition in the comics, there was something like, this is the Kingpin. When he sneezes, the city catches a cold. And it's like, that's how Swearengen is, man. Dude is a boss. Dude is a out and out legit boss. You know, like.
What's interesting about this episode, though, is you're starting to see some of his power kind of wane a little bit, up to including the who's the hotel owner?
E.B. Farnum.
E.B. Farnum having a little bit, like, being able to talk back to his boss and be like, and kind of shine a little bit of light on how he actually is becoming more and more paranoid. Yeah. Where in the previous 3 episodes, something like that would have resulted in him pulling out a knife and stabbing you in the neck for saying something like that to him. And so he's kind of like softening up a little bit too now. And yeah, he has to go fuck out his frustrations in this episode.
He started rhythmically pumping his
that was so great. He's standing at the railing and he's just like, and before he even like brings it up, he's just talking like this, and then he's like, I gotta go fuck.
It was just like the most unattractive come on. He's kind of slobbering, and then he points down to Trixie and he's like, bring the bottle. And he just looks like it's just such an unappealing fuck.
Right.
It looked really sad.
Yep.
Good thinking, Al. Clear your head before you like.
Even when he's like, yeah, he's like, good thinking. He's like standing there in the doorway by himself. When he's like, also again a weird scenario where like you know that this guy's about to go have sex in the other room. I don't know, like it's just strange for me. I mean, it's like, what if I was like, all right, guys, I'm gonna go fuck real quick. And it's like, and you know, the entire time I'm gone, I'm doing that.
Yeah. But in that like line of work that they're in, it's like there's that going on.
Exactly.
I've had it happen in real life. Like I went to a party, I came later than most people, and there was a room where people were having relations, and I think they might have called it the bone room or the F room, and I was like, oh, you guys, haha, oh, wow. And I came back outside, like literally outside the house, talking to y'all. I was like, I thought y'all was lying when y'all called it that. They were really intimate in the room.
That actually was the fuck room.
Yeah. You know? So I've been there in real life. But yeah, man, that's crazy. And like, dang, man.
Kind of the big thing in this episode, though, is the wife of Alma.
Mrs. Garret.
Yeah, Mrs. Garret. That's kind of like the big driving plot through this whole episode after her husband has been murdered.
Yeah.
And it's like I try to be sympathetic for him, but it's like, dude, your wife told you. Your like what was up. Your wife told you the time. Like, yo, we got to get out of here.
And Wild Bill said something too to him before in the last episode. He didn't listen to anybody. He was just like,
I want my money.
Yep. He's like, I'm going to get my money back because I've been had, and that's what you do. And it's like,
did a lot of this.
Not fucking here. It's like, this is the time to run the fuck away.
Yeah.
And get away with your life.
Yeah, this is not that, sir. This is not that.
It was really awesome to see her coming out of her stupor, and even though Doc Cochran was probably like the nicest person in town, she gave him shit for like basically being a little bit scared. And, and it's very sweet for her to like basically say, you're scared of these men. Is there another man who's controlling you?
Yeah.
She's tying into like the fact that like he's sexist for feeling comfortable and putting her down for being an opium addict.
Right.
He's like, and then she throws her laudanum into the wall, and she's like aware that it's very obvious to her. And what stood out for me this time was Dan Doherty, and how like again he killed somebody and he just looks ashamed.
He's like a whipped dog at the door,
and he can't even lie to her. He's just, I'm sorry.
Yeah. She's like, So he fell off of a cliff, and he wasn't.
Is that how it happened?
Is that how it happened? And he's like, I'm sorry. That's all he says. It's like, Jesus, dude.
And this is season 1, episode 4. Like, man, it's so like packed, like the episodes. It's just so much going on and so much just excellent acting, man. Like,
Yeah.
Like,
Charlie left for Cheyenne after being told off by Bill for what did he say? Pissing in his ear.
Yes, yeah. You gotta stop pissing in my ear about this shit. It's like, I'm gonna be what I'm gonna be.
Let me go to hell the way I want to.
That was a great line. Let me go
Yeah.
to hell
Yeah,
where
that
I
was
want
excellent
to.
line.
Shit.
Yeah.
This is like all this bad shit I've done in my life. It's like, just fuck it. I'm gonna gamble and drink, and that's how I'm gonna fucking die. I'm gonna die the way I live.
Yeah.
But he also says, I just got married. My wife runs a circus.
Right.
And, it's,
I'm interested to see if maybe she's gonna play into it. I mean, it would make sense. Don't.
Yeah.
it's just, go ahead.
I was just saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I like the character of Calamity Jane too. It's like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I bet that's Calamity Jane. Yes, I was correct. It's a bad chick, man. Like, she's just tough, man. But you see her heart, dealing with a little
Yeah.
Norwegian child.
Yeah. And then I liked when she came into the room when Bill was in there writing the letter to his wife. And they carry on a conversation, and then he's like, oh, I'm writing a letter to my wife. And she's like, damn it! Why didn't you tell me, damn it? And
Oh, you pretty.
but that's like right
She's
up.
got a swear jar for the kid.
Yep, and that's what this is totally a part of her character, where she just wildly overreacts to like normal situations. That's great.
Yeah, one of my favorite things in this episode is a very small detail where she's like, she sees Wild Bill's corpse, she grabs a bottle, she drinks it, and then like a passerby in the background, their shadow goes through the bottle. So it's like there's light shining through the bottle from the sun, and then the extra passes by and blocks the sun to the. Anyways, it's just a very beautiful scene.
Yeah.
I was still like, okay, he finna get up or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cause he too important to just be getting off in episode 4. But no.
A bunch of shit was passing through my mind. I was thinking like the doc doing the thing in the first episode with taking the
Rod
and sticking it through there, and it was like, well, maybe like somehow it just like passed through or something, and he's gonna be like a little off or something, but he'll be back in the next episode. And they were chatting, and I was like, and then that's when I kind of remembered like, there's that whole
This is a story.
and I've heard this before. I think it was like, and this is how he died. I'm like, fuck. Episode 4. What the fuck?
Don't they? I think now in Deadwood they still reenact his death like 4 times a day, except on Sundays or something like that.
Only 3 times on Sunday.
Oh, so there's like there was a real Deadwood,
South Dakota. Yep.
And
The plan right now is for the last episode we're gonna go up to Deadwood and do the last episode there.
yo, how do you feel about black folks?
I think they're fine now.
Y'all heard that qualifier. Y'all heard that qualifier. They're fine now.
And I think.
Cool. I know. I think. See.
I'm trying to cover all my bases.
I'm not trying to be on an airbrush T-shirt, man. I don't want to be a hashtag. We gotta do research.
But right now, I think it's mostly a casino town. There's a tourist industry, but it's mostly casinos. It's similar to like Tunica or something. Like it's just like a little town that has a bunch of places to gamble.
Okay.
You can go see Bullock's house.
Cool.
Let's see. Well, let's go start at the beginning.
Please.
Just a little bit. The first scene is what is it? Shoot.
First scene was with Bill?
Yeah, it was Bill at the poker table in the Bell Union.
Oh,
Yeah.
when he gives Jack money.
He gives him the buck
to go.
Yeah, because he's like, I think you overplayed your hand. While Bill, even though he knows he ain't got shit.
Cy Tolliver walks in behind him. You were told about that talk.
And
Also
dude,
interesting that he was at
I
the other
love
place.
I love that actor, man. Garret Dillahunt. I first came aware of him on Sarah Connor Chronicles. He was like I guess a Terminator robot that was beginning to experience emotion, learning how to feel.
He was the deputy in No Country for Old Men.
Oh yeah.
Wow,
I never would have pieced.
Yeah, I never would have pieced that together. I quote that guy all the time.
Yeah.
That's a dead dog.
It's like I rewatched No Country for Old Men the other day, and all I kept like saying in my head was like, "Well, hell, Wild Bill!" like when he's like walking around looking at stuff.
He looks like
That's one in a row for you, Wild Bill.
he looks like a sack of shit in this show. He looks great.
I think they've got like something in his nose to make one of his nostrils bigger
Yeah,
together.
yeah. So he kind of looks.
And he's already kind of like just leaning into his actual kind of droopy eye.
Yeah, and then they just take him and push him down in a
Just
pile of
smear
shit
his
every
face in
day.
mud.
I know, for real.
They let Timothy Oliphant go out there and grab him by the britches and just rub his head in fucking mud before every shoot.
I know, it looked like a real movie. Like, it didn't even look like
No.
Hollywood movie.
No.
It's like you are thoroughly soiled.
Yeah.
So they have their interaction at the Bella Union, and then after that, that's when Bill goes to the hardware store where they're building the hardware store, or Oliphant is, Bullock is.
Yeah.
And then they have this sweet little bromance scene where they're talking about nicknames they can call each other. And again, having no idea that's how that episode is going to end.
their
It's like,
last
it's like,
moment
wait,
together.
what? This is like their last little sweet moment together.
I know, I thought I was seeing the beginning.
Of like a beautiful relationship
Yeah.
between two great men.
Yeah. We learned that Bullock's childhood nickname was Sloth.
Yeah, because it's one of the 7 deadly sins that he got around to, or whatever the fuck he said.
He said he left before
The
he
other
got called other
surfaced.
ones.
Before the other 6.
And it seemed like Wild Bill's nickname as a child was Kite, which it meant that he wandered.
I guess he just did this.
I thought it was like a Native American slur, the way he was doing his hand.
Oh.
But you know, this show's full of that stuff, so a lot of times I assume
just-
it's the worst.
Yeah, it just goes
Just
right
in
over your
case.
head because you're just like, I don't even know what the hell they're talking about
I
sometimes.
think it was he meant he was a kite that wandered.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But that scene is very like metaphorical because he's like, they look out over the town and they're like, they talk about how soon they'll have laws here and every other damn thing.
Yeah.
And basically,
But then that ends up being his undoing
yeah.
because that guy could just walk in there and shoot him in the back of the head.
Take that, damn you, was the actual phrase that he said, according to Black Hills Pioneer, when he shot him,
Huh.
which is what he said. I mean, this is very accurate down to the person brandishing the decapitated head.
Right. Which was the Indian scalp
Yeah, which-
thing.
He promised, was it $50
Yeah.
for every head of a Native American?
This is an ongoing
The
thing
Sioux
in the
tribes, yeah.
in the show. Owls promised anybody $50 for any Native American
Which
scalps.
was just to like raise morale because the guy came into town saying that a family was massacred and he didn't want people to stop like spending money in his establishment.
And this links into the little Norwegian girl and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
But it's also true. It's also actually
Yeah.
happening. But what I like about that conversation metaphorically that Bullock and Hickok have is that he's like, I'll leave it to you, and he says, I'll turn in. And it's just very metaphorically,
Right.
he's giving the town to Bullock
Right.
so that he can die.
Yeah.
He's passing the torch.
Yeah.
It goes to the body of Brom Garret being returned to.
Oh, right. And then him acting like he's like he's
Acting in front of EB.
yeah,
like
he's
he was
like
shocked.
yeah, he's not quite upfront with EB about it, which I thought was kind of interesting. I guess because now he doesn't quite trust him after.
But he was so like overtly cagey about it. I feel like it was them kind of play acting together.
I guess it's
And
like
EB quickly figured it out.
right,
Which
which is
this?
which is mysterious.
Apparently, there's been an accident.
Well, and I was pleased to see that actor because to me he's still Larry from Newhart. That's the show I watched in childhood. He's one to be like, I'm Larry. This is my brother Daryl. This is my other brother Daryl. So I was.
Well, to me, he's still JF Sebastian from Blade Runner. That's what I think of every time I see him. And also interesting that he has another 2 letters plus the last name.
EB Farnum.
Yeah.
I only watched it one time. I need to watch it again because
These are my friends. I made them.
those are the questions. But like EB is so slimy, man.
Yeah.
And he's a scumbag. And it's like he's the kind of character you want to see get it. But I feel like he's so sneaky and nasty that he'll stay alive just from like.
But he's also so stupid in a way that like you kind of.
He's alive by the mercy of others. Basically.
Yeah, he's alive by the mercy of others. It's like,
It's never occurred to me, like, I think you were, like, how much he fucked up by offering the widow immediately. I think you were laughing at, like,
Right.
how stupid it
that's
was.
so dumb.
Yeah.
It's like he's just standing at the door, and then like he offers like, "Do you need anything?" And then she's like, "A coffin probably for my fucking dead husband." And then he just stands there apparently outside the door because within 10 seconds he's
Right.
Ma'am, I'd like to talk to you face to face.
Yeah.
And
He just doesn't want to go back to the gym empty-handed.
no,
He wants to like.
he wants to immediately handle it, and it's like.
It's done.
And again, we have to realize that like the show has taken place over the course of like 3 fucking days. It's like, so this guy is like literally in real time. Like he's talked to Al, and then Al was like, "You have to go do this," and then he takes us as like, right this second, take no pause in trying to make this work, and then just like barrel ahead.
Don't try to
and do
butter
this.
her up or allow her to grieve or any of that.
No, it's just like $12,000. I'll give you $12,000 for that plot of land if that'll ease your mind a little bit. And she's like, "What? Why the fuck are we talking about this right now?" It's like my husband just fucking died, not even in the ground yet.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I was like,
She had just come out and seen her husband's body, and he's
Swung
walking
over
out.
a horse.
I'm really sorry, ma'am. Shall I go get the doctor to help you with your grief? It's just
And she's like touching the gash in his head
Because
where he
she's
was
so dumb.
bashed into the ground by fucking Dan.
Yeah.
And yeah, his dumb ass is over there just trying to rush through
So
things.
obviously.
Which is great.
Yeah.
It fits his character so well.
Yeah.
I mean, because again, he must have something wrong with him. I mean,
Yeah.
just mentally, because he doesn't understand those social
Subtleties.
subtleties about like I shouldn't sit outside this door until she comes and talks to me about this money.
But I feel like, you know, he kind of had tunnel vision and like, you know, he really doesn't want to displease Al,
No.
but he's also slimy.
Right.
So it's like those things kind of work kind of.
It's a self-interest there too, because he's trying to, you know, get a slice out of the deal too.
Right.
If he genuinely didn't want to cross Al, he wouldn't have tried to play her again behind his back.
No.
You know? So it's like a.
But I think
He thinks he's clever.
But I think in a weird way he thought like this is going to please Al
Yeah.
by doing this.
Like he's a brown
And getting my cut, but it's not like he was like the other guy in the first episode that was like,
just about him.
well, and he said up front like $6,000. That means I'll just get the $6,000, or it was a certain percentage of it.
Yeah.
And so then he like laid out exactly how much he was going to get, and EB didn't do that. He was like, and then I thought maybe I could just get a little cut of that money, and he didn't say anything.
Whatever,
he
whatever
would have
the
been fine
level
with
is.
$20, but it was just he wanted the pat on the head from Al for being like, oh, you are smart.
Yeah.
And really, all Al ended up doing was just like, all right, I guess this is fine. I mean, we'll work with it now. We'll work with what the fuck we got. It's like, because you've already done this.
Right. Because he did piss Al off. Was it last episode?
This is the last episode of the very end of the
He almost got
episode.
his throat cut.
Because he facilitated the deal that allowed the Belly Union people to even move in over there.
Powers Booth and his
Yeah.
establishment to come in.
And he did it just out of
He struck a deal.
Greed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
out of greed.
just dumb,
But-
short-sighted greed.
But like, again, I think he's doing it for right now, partially because he's like wants to impress Al, but I think also because he wants to be Al.
Yeah.
He's like a little kid and he sees his role model, and he's like, one day I'm going to be just like Al, even though he's probably fucking older than than Al. Honestly, he's a very interesting character. He's one of the. He had the most interesting stuff going on in this episode.
I love that he has like a suit, but prominently there's like big hair. And
Yeah. Yeah.
And all the frills too. Like he's got like this frilly shirt and like the frilly sleeves coming out of his jacket
because he owns the hotel.
He looks like
he
looks
like
a Batman villain.
Yeah.
Like he's got like the whole outfit.
Well, he actually appears on a Batman show.
Does he?
Yeah, as in a cartoon form. William Sanderson.
Mhm.
But he's lovely, and I want to talk more about him, but I guess it might get into spoilers.
Oh yeah, let's not.
But you guys don't feel any sympathy towards E.B. Farnum.
I feel some sympathy towards him just because, like I said, I don't think he's all there, and so like I think there's an element of him that's been groomed by Al that I think is kind of like unfortunate in a way. If he had like had somebody else as his mentor, then I think he might have turned out differently.
Yeah.
But he's become this. I mean, as far as I know, this slimy, greasy guy because of Al.
See, I don't, because he's such a scumbag.
Yeah.
And then, like, just the uncouthness that he displayed with the widow Garret.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I totally get that. I get what you're saying.
He seems pretty unlikable, and we're like that. People just don't like him. He rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah.
And it's his own fault.
Right.
But you don't know necessarily if he can help being that way.
No, he can't. He really can't.
It's just
And that's
how he is.
That's
his
kind of
personality.
that's where a little bit of the tragedy to me comes in.
Yeah.
Is that he is that
That's
way
just his
because
personality.
of however his brain's wired.
You cannot convince him that there's a different way to be,
Right.
or he would not be able to change it. Certainly at this point.
So then the wife comes down, and they look at the body or whatever after EB and Al have had their show for each other, I guess.
Yeah.
And then that's when she examines the body and touches the gash in her husband's head. Strange. And then, like we said, they talked to EB, talks to her, and then Dan talks to her for a second, where he basically just apologizes and almost acknowledges the fact that he killed him.
And she asked for the doctor to see to her husband's corpse.
Yes. And then that's when EB goes off. What happens right after that?
Right after that is
Andy Crane.
Andy Crane. Yeah. So
Andy Dufresne?
Andy Crane.
Andy Dufresne.
I think we go to the Bell Union, and Cy Tolliver is talking to Doc Cochran about taking care of his
Prostitutes.
and he's going to pay a large amount of money.
It's like $50 a visit
Right.
or something,
and
which is big.
more frequent visits.
Yeah, three times a week.
Yeah.
$50 came up a lot in this episode.
Yeah.
$50.
And then Andy Crane comes in, and he's just gotten off the trail, and he's
Which is some guy that I shouldn't know who this person is, right?
No.
He came in this first episode.
Yeah. This is the first time.
Okay.
He's the boss from Fight Club. That's how I always think of him.
Okay.
He's a prominent character actor, but he comes in and they pretend that they don't know each other,
Right.
and then he goes
For a
back,
second.
Yeah, then they go outside of like the hearing of like maybe two more people, and they stand somewhere, and they're just like, "Hey, we all know each other, yeah."
Yeah.
And like,
Come back here behind this like mesh cage wherever.
like that was the dumbest con. Like, they're so dedicated to being con men. It seems that they have a anyway. So
That's interesting though. That is kind of like a weird parallel between that and then with Al and EB.
Right.
And them
But they were
doing
only
this
performing for
themselves. That's what's so great. Is like, but like you were just saying, it's like they're so used to being con men that they just do it to be doing it.
It kind of reminds me of like wrestlers have a thing called kayfabe.
Right.
And it's like,
You have to keep it up.
yeah, like just in case anybody was around back in the day,
Right.
like, the good guys and bad guys can't like go out to eat together
Nope.
and nothing like
Completely
that. Gotta
separate.
go to different restaurants and things like that. That's what I thought about. And man, Powers Boot, that's like a cat from my childhood, man. Anytime I see his name, I be like, oh yeah.
He's got a great voice and a great face.
Gorilla Grad. What do we learn about Powers Booth? As you've seen him in the previous episode, did we learn anything more? I guess we. Well, I mean, let's just keep going through the scenes.
Okay, so they have their little side conversation. We get to know whoever this Andy
Andy, yeah.
Andy Dufresne.
And then we have Alma meeting Wild Bill, asking her to.
Alma.
Or she.
Oh no, the Mrs. Garret. Mrs. Garret.
She goes to.
She does the exact same thing that her husband does.
Right.
basically.
Trying to enlist
Wild Bill, but through through Jane. Trying to remember their conversation. I don't really remember.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say Jane thought that she was accusing Bill of
Oh, at first, right. And then
something about phlegm.
yeah,
He has to wake up. She's like,
Yeah,
he's got to wake up so he can help you.
okay, yeah.
Well, actually, let's go back to Andy Freeman because I feel like it's natural to follow that line of conversation.
Okay,
We know that he gets sick progressively throughout the episode,
right.
and
He has something. I don't remember the thing that gives you.
Or measles or something with pox.
I looked it up. It's smallpox.
Smallpox.
Okay, something that's highly
The back
contagious,
Yeah.
which is another reason to tell the doc like he fell,
Yeah.
because
You don't want to panic.
because you don't want to panic, but also you want the doc to show up and not just be like, get rid of him. It's like, because this guy could kill like half the town just by being here.
Yeah, because smallpox is pretty much a death sentence.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're fucked. Especially in this time period, like you are fucked.
Yeah.
And the doc takes the opportunity to chastise them for lying to him.
Yeah, which is another chance. It feels like it happens once an episode or something where he
Chastising
chastises
people.
somebody for being stupid. And he's like, did he fall on his back? Because that seems to hurt. He's like, well, let me know if he develops welts all over his trunk and his face with the pus coming out of him. He's like, I know what the fuck's going on, you goddamn idiots. It's like,
I'm guessing it was his back he landed on. Yeah, that's the way he's so.
he's such a snarky asshole. I love it.
It's great.
Yeah, because
He could have gotten it. Because he put his
Right.
fucking head up to his chest, and it's like it's easily transferable. And I'm sure he's like, I might be fucking next now, asshole.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing me over
and it's
here.
cool to see a snarky doctor because, like, I don't know, a lot of doctor types on shows tend to be sniveling and just like,
Except for Bones.
well,
Yeah, they're kind of in the same vein a little bit.
World
Damn it,
weary
Jim.
Military doctors.
Yeah.
Military surgeon.
Yeah.
Got a little more Joni in this episode too.
Oh yeah, Joni.
Just a little more time with Joni Stubbs. She's kind of Sai's right hand man. She's the girl who's with
She's the
Sai.
madam?
Who wants
yeah.
lubrication.
Right.
Lubricants.
Right.
She helped Andy get his boots off.
Yeah, I dug her.
She snipes at Swearengen's place a little, and she keeps trying to get Andy to sleep with someone as a way of showing that he's relaxing.
Yeah.
And he keeps refusing.
Yeah. And then that's when you finally figure out, like,
He's
he's like not doing well.
Yeah.
Because when I first saw him, I was like, he's on heroin or something. Because he's
he
just
has
like,
some kind of fever.
yeah, he's just
Something,
like shaking and moving around. It's like,
Yeah,
what's he
the
coming
cold
down
chills.
off of?
Yeah.
He's like, oh no, he's fucking sick.
but Powers' Booth's character kind of caught it though, because he was like,
He said something looked off about him.
Yeah, exactly.
When he walked in the door,
He
yeah.
pretty much knew right away.
because he asked, what's the madam's name?
Joni.
Joni, and she like just looks like he's been on a wagon for 3 days.
Which is reasonable too.
Right, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Like,
For 3
don't-
weeks.
Don't get ahead
For
of
3
yourself.
weeks.
Yeah.
It's
Been on a
like-
wagon for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He probably is just.
He's like, yeah, he looks like shit. Because, yeah, I mean, you would too.
Yeah.
It's like,
After that, we have Merrick talks to Cy Tolliver or Powers Booth about possibly them taking out
the
an
paper.
ad
Yeah.
in his newspaper.
Another $50. $50
An
an issue. And he's like,
3 months in
what?
And he's
And-
like, that's like more than
Yeah, he's like that.
anyone is.
I can't.
Yeah.
That would you
It's
you
the
would
whole
take
real
up,
estate of the
It's
paper.
like you would take up the whole damn paper.
And there's a nice joke about shooting craps, about him playing on the idea of shooting craps versus, like, it seems like the joke is that it's an obscene reference to shitting.
but what's interesting is that he keeps talking in these like $5 words to them, and they even make fun of it in a way, and it's like, he's a wordsmith and stuff. And then when he says craps, he doesn't understand what they're saying. It's like, because it's so low brow, he doesn't fucking get
He
it.
had to point at the table that they're standing next
Yeah,
to.
as an example for him to go, oh, you're not talking about shit. Okay.
And they quickly take him to the money that he was trying to quietly refuse.
Yes.
To influence his paper.
Yes.
And he's instantly corrupted.
Yes, and he's well, I mean, he's kind of a dumbass.
Yeah,
so
no,
like,
he's naive.
Yeah.
and is corrupted
He's
unknowingly.
He's a lot like Braun.
Yeah.
It's like they have that similar kind of thing going on where they might be intelligent in terms of
Like book smarts.
sure, but I hate saying that because that's
Yeah.
what like dumb rednecks say so that they can continue being stupid.
Right.
But
They don't have a lot of emotional intelligence on how to deal with people and human interaction.
right.
Yeah.
But that usually gets dumbed down to book smarts and street smarts.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but that's a stupid
Right,
simplification
yeah,
of
yeah.
it.
He uses big words, and he's all about his paper stuff and all of the editorializing and whatnot.
Right,
but
he's really just naive, and
he's
he doesn't
yeah.
understand how the world works, even though he's
doesn't pick up on very clear cues that people.
Yeah, it's weird how there's people who are really intelligent and know a lot about, just knowledge-based things, works of whatever, literature and all this stuff.
Trivia.
Or there's people who are like dumb as a stump, but can like navigate through this shithole
Right. Yeah.
where they're all living. And then there's the people in the middle that are kind of like Wild Bill, God rest his soul. Bullock, Bullock, Al, it's like the main people, and like Powers Booth is quickly showing that he's one of those same people.
Yeah.
Like I said before, there's now I think like 4 people that like when they see something, they know it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
It's like him knowing that guy was sick.
Perceptive.
Yeah, it's like but it's tied together with the fact that they're not stupid. They're learned people, but they don't stick their nose in a book, and that's where they live, which is where like a lot of
Yeah.
the
They're not
characters,
sheltered.
a lot of characters will fall either on the side where they don't know anything about the world, or they just don't know shit, and they're just like good at being street urchins and working for balls of dope.
And Brahm was one of those characters, obviously. I think you
Yes.
said it. Basically, he just got immediately crushed by Deadwood. He came to
Yeah.
Deadwood with this idea of being
Within 3 episodes, gets completely destroyed
But
from
it doesn't-
top to bottom.
It doesn't work either way because, Wild Bill became famous for being so good at skillfully navigating. He
Right.
grew old and then, like, maybe one of the biggest losers in the camp, Jack McCall,
Yeah.
Garret Dillahunt,
Right.
shot him in the back for no reason, out of his kindness. He gave him some,
But I think
Like it was patronizing.
but I think as we stated it, it was almost like he was wanting it in this episode. Like he was kind of like,
He's checked out.
yeah, he was ready for it to happen because he was like, yeah, I got a wife, runs a circus, she's doing fine, she doesn't really need me. It was like that's kind of what it came across as, and it was like, I don't want to fucking freeze my nuts off in a creek, panning for gold. And it's like,
Right.
I'm good just going ahead and checking out now. It's like I'm not gonna pull the trigger myself, but I don't
I'm
care.
going to allow myself
Yeah.
to be in dubious situations.
Right. Especially after like episode 2 and him knowing when somebody's on him, even if he doesn't quite
Yeah.
know, is like he knows that somebody's coming at him.
he lost his last poker game. At least the last one that we saw.
Yeah.
In real life, like supposedly his last hand is aces and eights, which is the bad luck hand.
Oh, I've heard of this.
But the next scene after
Sorry, no.
this and what we're doing is Hickok and Alma meet, and immediately after they meet, Hickok walks across the street to Swearengen and has that conversation.
Yeah, and has that interesting conversation where he's like, and Swearengen is just like a fucking dickhead about it, and is like, what does he say? He says,
Since you came to camp, I've been locked in my room,
crying,
weeping.
weeping.
For like,
What
ever
have-
our
What
paths
have I
crossed.
done to Wild Bill that he hasn't
Yeah.
come over here and said, fucking
Yeah,
hi
not,
to me?
not 15 feet from my establishment. Never once walked in.
I love like Dan is a little frightened to see Wild Bill.
Yeah.
He's surprised by him.
Yeah.
And Wild
Like-
Bill,
Yeah.
Wild Bill notes that the E.B. Farnum is in the corner without even looking.
Yeah,
at his direction.
exactly. Well, again, noting the fact that he knows a room without having to fucking look.
Right.
So, like, he's kind of letting it happen anyway. Go ahead.
And Swearengen is just like, there's this moment where he's like, tell me what happened with the man's death, And he takes a shot and he blinks and then he goes into this perfectly pitched spiel.
Right.
With an answer for every,
And then Wild Bill's just there staring at him like,
It's like
when are we going to dispense with the bullshit here? It's like,
the devil's in the details, and like typically too many details is a lie.
right. Exactly.
And he had an answer for
Every
single
fucking thing.
prompted or not.
Yeah, he had the whole story planned out in his head of what you would only normally think of like a long time after the fact. You would craft a narrative of what happened in your past, but he's able to like already know that because this is basically the narrative he's planned out in his head
Right, yeah.
from the beginning. It's like this is,
A guilt-free person would go,
he bought some and then he fucking died. It's like, it's like you wouldn't have every single point beat
sorry,
out.
can't help you more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that he's like, why did he buy a worthless claim? He sees it as real estate. This camp's expanding.
Yeah.
It's just a really good line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But also, it's like real estate out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. There's one damn street here.
It's rocks and cliffs.
How much you gonna do to make that shit worthwhile?
Right, yeah.
He goes basically back to Alma Garret and tells her that he wants someone to properly look at the claim, and he doesn't know who to give.
Right. I was a little confused during some of this stuff. I think he used the word proxy again, which is something that's used a lot in this show.
Yeah.
But I think he was saying that she should leave and that Bullock would operate as her proxy here to settle this dispute.
Right, yeah. You need to get out of Dodge.
The thunder thing and all that.
And have somebody look it over, and you keep your distance from the camp, and then we'll sort it out, kind of thing.
Thunder?
Yeah.
Hear it in your mind.
Can you imagine that sound if I asked you to?
Yeah, I was like, that was a lot of exposition to say, you gotta leave. Or,
Well, that's kind of what happens a lot in Deadwood is like either people say too little and you don't catch up what's going on, or they say way too much about something that's
And then
real
EB
simple.
has to mansplain it to the audience. And Al gets pissed at him for it.
That happened in the last episode. There's like they were talking about their plans or whatever, and then EB kept going like, "Yeah, it's like this," and he was just
You
like,
mean to say...
"Yeah," he's like simplifying it for the audience almost, and he's like, "God damn it, yeah, you don't have to fucking explain everything I'm saying to you." It's
Repeat back to me what I just said.
fucking said. So basically he's just like get out of town.
Yeah, and he says he's going to hire Bullock to oversee hiring of the person to inspect the claim.
Right.
And Bullock accepts, and he has a look of like kind of a little bit of regret on his face after he accepts.
Like, put upon, kind of? Or,
Yeah.
Because Saul's there.
Saul is there.
He doesn't have a lot really going on this
He
episode.
literally
Shows up.
exits vertically out of frame on a ladder. He's like, he's like, you should get out of town. You should get out of town. He just goes. Let's see, what else? Bullock's.
Use that in a movie now.
Oh,
Exit vertically out of the frame.
Ellsworth also comes back to town.
Yes.
He saw it happen.
And I remembered that, and I was like, well, how the fuck is this going to shake out? And then he comes up and has, again, a very complicated conversation about a simple
Beating around the
matter
bush.
because he doesn't want to like come out and say like, I saw you kill the guy. Should I get the fuck out of town? Because I know what happens to people who see shit. It's
I'm
like,
letting you know,
or-
and I'm sticking around in good faith.
or are you not going to say anything and I'm fine? It's
Right.
like, because I'm not going to say shit.
Which is incredibly stupid. Like if he had just said nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he'd
Yeah.
been okay. Like,
Yeah.
dude,
He
why
got
did...
so nervous, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it seems like Ellsworth's not one of those people that can be.
He won't shut the fuck up.
Yeah, like, I don't think like keeping things under your head is one of his strengths.
No.
And it was eating him up.
Yep. And he wanted to say something. I mean, I think because him and
Trixie.
it seems like yeah. I guess that's true. He did in that one episode talk to Trixie for all. He's like, I'll pay you $1 a minute to tell me what happened to that.
Oh yeah,
You
like,
know, it's like-
to listen to her.
Yeah, to listen to her.
Yeah.
He just wanted to, he just likes to talk.
Mhm.
So,
And then Trixie basically saves his life later.
yeah.
Yeah.
She just basically says, "Leave him alone."
And, don't be thumbing at me.
Don't be pointing your fucking thumb. I love Dan's accent. It's so like, I don't know. There's something like aggressive and snippy and agitated. Like,
And I like how quick.
yeah,
A lot of people will talk a little bit slower.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, don't fucking point your thumb at me, Trixie. Shit.
Yeah.
It's like-
I think he's from Nashville, or at least he
Oh,
knows a lot of
really?
people in the Nashville area. I think he's a Tennessean, I think.
makes sense. It's a good accent.
And then we have the scene we talked about where Swearengen and Farnum discuss how many people are allied against Swearengen.
Right,
Okay.
and he's fucking the railing
Yeah,
while he's talking.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got Andy Creamed.
This is where the doctor actually shows up,
Yeah.
and they have somebody stationed outside, and the
Right.
doc looks up and he's like,
You're guarding the door from a fall.
from a guy falling on his back,
Yeah.
something the fuck is up.
Um,
And from this on, it's cross cutting between these things happening and Al fucking Trixie,
yes.
Yeah.
like violently, and then
and Bill tying up loose ends.
yeah, and then like violently up into the point of him dismounting is also violent. It's like it's almost like he's blown back off of her, and like his legs fly off.
And he's
the
wearing
bed.
this very unattractive, ill-fitting
It's one of those. Yeah, what do you call that?
warm-up or thermal pajamas.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
little
yeah, with
onesie.
like the butt flap and everything.
Yeah, the little onesie.
And she's wearing striped knee leggings,
Yeah,
and they just look so sad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because well, duh, she's a madam, so of course she's used to being intimate with people without a. I
And
guess,
she's
a real
the main
connection.
one too
She's
for
like
him.
Al's go-to.
Right.
Yeah. But, I mean, it was clearly a day at the office. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
She was like, all right,
Very routine.
get in
Yeah.
the bottle.
And then Jack McCall goes back to Tom Nuttall's number 10 and talks to the people who play poker with him who aren't Wild Bill. And they
Tom is the owner of
The
He's the
owner
owner
of the saloon where
the little shitty
Where-
saloon
The little
that,
shitty
that for some reason Al doesn't care about. I guess, does he get a cut of it or something?
I mean, Al has a lot on his plate, and he just wasn't thinking of it. But yeah, there is the scene where Tom Nuttall bothers Al
Right.
about like, was Hickok here to steal business away from my place?
Right, right.
Al just basically ignores him.
Yeah. But I guess maybe that's just what he does, because maybe that place is just such a little shitty, dinky place that he doesn't care. It's like, it's not drawing any business from me.
right.
Who cares? From the beginning.
From the beginning.
And so they get a pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Merrick and Tom.
Yeah, they put
Nuttall
up-
Are,
yeah, they
are in
put
that
him up.
group of sort of the pioneers of the camp.
People to get put up with.
They've been there like 6 months.
Yeah,
Everybody else
From the
3
beginning.
months.
Yeah,
From
yeah.
the beginning, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Also, but we get that Jack.
Slapping lows.
We get the Jack McCall scene where he's like, his poker companions offer to buy his gun off of him, and also take his tag off his nice-ish
Right,
shirt.
to kind of show, like, I mean, you've been spending money, dumbass. It's like, you've been spending money so fast that you didn't take the damn tag off of your suit.
Yeah.
And it's like, and now you don't have anything because you're fucking blowing it all.
And
Because he's had his luck turn the opposite way of Bill from the beginning of it.
And then he goes and insults a Chinese food vendor while eating.
Yeah.
Complaining about the fact that there's a chicken foot cooked in his chicken.
Right, and before it even happened, there was the shot where it's going in, and I was like, haha, American food. And then he says, this is supposed to be American food, and he pulls the fucking chicken foot out of it.
yeah, and he does something with his eyes just to be derogatory towards the Chinese. I was just like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Just in case you weren't sure about this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I always feel really sorry for the Chinese extras on the show because like that guy who had to like sit across from Garret Dillahunt while he did that, he's barely in the frame.
Exactly.
He's out of focus. You'd barely see his face.
Right.
It's like,
But all you see is this fucking
and
racial thing.
the Jack McCall character even has like horrible, messed up eyes. You know, like he has no
Right,
right
exactly.
to just spare
Anybody else's appearance. It's like, Jesus.
He's very strange. Let's see. Okay. Well, and then we're to McCall shooting Hickok.
Yeah.
I love we see sort of how everyone reacts to it, you know.
Yeah.
And the music's great.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of music in the show, but when it comes in, it always is
Impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a question to ask. Oh my gosh,
To Bill.
Markus.
I don't have a club. I'm sorry.
Where do you guys think this will go after this? What do you see? We left with Jane and Bullock staring at his dead body.
There's gonna be fucking hell to pay.
Yeah, I feel like I thought they was gonna like string up Garret Dillahunt's character and like hang him in the middle of town or something.
No, it's
like,
coming.
It's like, yeah, he's gonna have to pay. Like, dude, you can't just.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. So, Bill at the beginning of the episode was saying like law's coming, right?
Yeah.
And so now it seems like maybe this is going to be one of the ways where that might happen.
Like the.
Because otherwise, people would have just fucking pulled out a gun and shot the guy right there. That's typical Deadwood shit. And like, no, they stopped. He's not dead yet at the end of the episode. So probably what's going to happen, Bullock's going to get involved. And then it's going to be like, no, we got to fucking hang him. You know, it's like justice, quote unquote.
What's funny to me too is like we've been shown just what a dirtbag this guy is for so long, and now he gets to be infamous.
Yeah,
Now
because
he gets to be,
because
his name gets to be remembered.
Because of some cowardly bullshit he did,
Right,
where he just walks in and shoots him in the back of the head.
Yeah, he's important now.
Yeah.
He couldn't even get on a horse.
Yeah.
Get on a horse.
Yeah, he was that incompetent
Yeah.
that he couldn't get on a fucking horse to escape. That's the guy who kills Wild Bill.
Yeah.
The guy who in the first episode draws both of his guns in like half a second and shoots the guy in both eyes, as they say in the episode.
Yeah.
And it's like, that piece of garbage is the one who kills him. I mean, it makes sense, but...
The first thing, like, in the first episode, like, knowing what happens now, when I go back and rewatch it, it always, like, I smile a little bit, because, like, the very first time you ever see Jack McCall, he's, like, talking to some other guy when Bill rides into town.
Yeah.
Can I just say something? And then I won't say anything else on the subject. I'm not impressed. like, he just has it out for him from the beginning.
From the very beginning. Yeah. And it's weird that I just didn't, knowing that story, I still didn't think about oh, that's the guy who's going to do it.
Right, yeah.
It never would have crossed my mind. So.
Okay, well, thank you for watching this episode of a Deadwood video podcast, and we will see you on the next episode of it. Thank you.
Next of it.
Buck-toothed beaver slapping logs. You can't keep the gold from me.